Hey guys, welcome to this video. So today I'm going to be looking at my 10 favorite albums of 2017. I've been checking online, a lot of magazines, a lot of websites, places like Loudwire have been putting out their top 10 list of best albums of 2017. And a lot of those albums don't represent the bands that I listen to, the things that I like. So I thought, okay, I don't claim to know what the best albums of 2017 are, because first of all, I haven't heard every single album that's come out in 2017, but I wanted to share with you guys, and I'm hoping you can share with me what our favorite albums from 2017 are. So I'm going to share with you guys what my favorite 10 albums from 2017 are. And I want you guys in the comment section below to let me know what are your 10 favorite albums of 2017. I think this is a cool way for you guys to kind of have a feel for the bands that I like, the music that I listen to, if you don't know it already based on some of the videos that we do. But it's also important for me to also see what you guys are listening to. Maybe it's a cool way for not only myself, but our viewers in general to see those comments and learn from each other and see what we're all listening to. Maybe we can all discover new bands. Maybe we can discover albums that kind of went unnoticed and, you know, kind of got swept under the rug a little bit. So I thought this was such a cool idea to do, so I can share with you guys what my favorite 10 albums are, and then you guys can post in the comment section what your favorite 10 albums are, because this will create some discussion and it's always good. We get to talk about music. You know, how cool is that? So I'm going to start. My number 10 album is While She Sleeps, You Are We. This album came out in April of this year, has about 50 minutes, 11 tracks, and this is one of my new favorite metalcore bands. I really like this album. I really like this band. I got to see them live on tour this past fall. Amazing band, amazing album. If you're into the metalcore genre, you guys got to check out this band. They're really hyped. They're really vibed. They have a song in this album with Oli Sykes from Bring Me the Horizon. So this album, I think the band has really come together in this album. They've really grown as a band, and they're out of the UK, by the way, in case you guys don't know. So they really come together in this album, and I think it really puts forward. It's a huge step for them forward in saying that, you know, they're a name to be reckoned with within the metalcore genre. So this was one of my favorite albums to listen to this past year. On number 9, Ice Earth, Incorruptible. Came out in June, 55-minute long, about 10 tracks. I know it for the Ice Earth fans, the hardcore fans that have been listening to this band for a long time, this is by far not one of their favorite albums. For me, this was the album that really introduced me to the band. So it has a special place in my heart because of that. I've gone back now and checked some of their earlier stuff, and I can understand why, you know, some people are not extremely happy with this album. But for me, this album will always have a special place in my heart because I really dig it. It was the first time that I listened to this band was through this album with the song Black Flag, and you guys saw the reaction video. I absolutely love that song. And I find this album to be very good. I really like it. You know, it's like I said, I'm not coming from a place where I had a lot of stuff to compare it with. It was my first introduction to the band, and I really love this album. It's one of my favorites of this year. Number 9, Septicflesh, Codex Omega, came out in September. Guys, this band is absolutely amazing, and to me, the highlight of the awesomeness that is Septicflesh was the moment when my son bought this album on iTunes, and I got an email saying that my 13-year-old had purchased Septicflesh. I was like, I couldn't believe it, because when we did the video, he really digged it, and that's when I started listening to. After we did the video, I went and I started listening to the band, and I got the album. And then a couple of weeks down the road, I see that he purchased the album. I already had the album. He purchased the album for himself. So that was kind of like, you know, I was really proud of him that, you know, he's taking the approach that regardless of what I purchase and what I listen to, he's creating his own music and his own identity within his music. And this band is becoming one of his favorites. And this album is so well put together. They really, to me, like, to have a favorite list without these guys, honestly, I don't think I could do it. They're just mind-blowing, and this album is just magic. Great work, amazing. So number 7 is Cannibal Corpse, Red Before Black. It came out in November, and how can I have Cannibal Corpse on my list. I've been waiting for a Cannibal Corpse album for a couple of years now, and this album delivered. When the first song, Code of the Slashers, came out, I knew right away, like, this album is not going to be a dud. I mean, I don't think Cannibal Corpse ever puts out bad albums to begin with, but this album is just so good, so well done. It's vintage Cannibal Corpse, and like I said, that song was such a kick in the door that just let you know that, hey, we're putting out this single, this album is going to be badass, you guys going to have to go and get it. So this is, to me, it had to be on the list. It was just a question of what number on the list, but I find that, considering all my favorite albums are, and as we're going to go on, number 7 for me, Cannibal Corpse. Red Before Black. It's by far one album that I had to put on the list. Number 6, Kreator, Gods of Violence, came out early January 20, well, not really early January, early in the year, but January 27th. I had to put Kreator on because that was the album that really kicked off the year to me, as far as metal is concerned. That was the first album that I purchased in 2017, was Gods of Violence by Kreator, and I absolutely loved it. The first song that I heard, even before the album came out, was Satan Is Real, and I was like, wow. Like, I heard the song, I was like, wow, this is really good. I really like where they're going with this. I hope the album follows through, and the album was amazing. Honestly, I really enjoy this new album from Kreator. I mean, they're one of my favorite thrash metal bands. I grew up listening to these guys, so I've been listening to them for a very long time. I was really excited that they were kind of my welcome to 2017 band. By releasing the album in January, kind of gave me something to look forward during New Year's Eve, that I knew I was going to get Kreator's album, and they delivered. And what a masterpiece it is. To me, it's really has to be one. I mean, like I said, it's one of my favorites of 2017, but I think it has to be one of the best albums of 2017. So that was number 6. Number 5, Cavalera Conspiracy Psychosis came out in November. I did an album review for this, and I said at the time that, to me, this was top 5 album of the year. And I'm surprised that a lot of the lists that I'm seeing on websites, on YouTube, from magazines, from whatever, people from the music industry, this album is getting a huge snub. Nobody's talking about Cavalera Conspiracy Psychosis. To me, this is a throwback to Arise, Beneath the Remains, Sepultura days. How can you not include this album in any of your lists? I mean, if you're a fan of Sepultura and you grew up in the late 80s, early 90s listening to Max Cavalera and Igor and Andreas Kisser and Paul Jr., the original Sepultura guys, this album is such a throwback to those days. It's such an amazing album, beginning to finish. Like I said before when I did my album review, 41 minutes, 9 songs, short, sweet, compact, powerful, a mixture of thrash metal and death metal together, like only Max can do. Like, only Max can put something like this together. So I had to include this on my favorite list. It is my top 5. It is in my top 5 favorite albums of the year. Number 4, guys. Number 4, Winter Sun, The Forest Seasons. I thought about, should I include this as an album? Because it's only 4 songs, 54 minutes long, came out in July. It almost feels more like an EP than it does an LP, but I mean, it's Winter Sun. I have to include. I mean, Winter Sun could release 2 songs, and to me, I would count it as an album of the year candidate, as far as I'm concerned. I absolutely, you guys know, I absolutely love Winter Sun. I had to have, if I'm putting my top 10 favorite albums of the year, and Winter Sun released something, they have to be on the list. So, Winter Sun is number 4 because this album is just pure genius. The way it was put together, the 4 songs representing 4 different seasons. With this album has probably my favorite ballad of all times. Loneliness is one of my, not only my favorite ballad, but probably one of my favorite songs of all time. You guys know how much that song means to me due to the passing of my father. It's really been a song that helped me deal with that loss. So that song, it has such a special place in my heart, and it will always have that special place, and it will always be one of my favorite all-time songs from Winter Sun. It's just a song that I can press play, put it on repeat, and just let it go. And it's just such raw power in that song. So an album that has a song like that has to be in my favorites for 2017. Number 3 is Archenemy Will to Power. It came out in September. I got to see Archenemy live during their Will to Power North American tour with While She Sleeps, which was my number 10 pick. And this album is really good. This album is really good. I mean, I liked War Eternal. But this album, I think, this album has really come into her own. And that's one of the things that I like. Sometimes it's hard especially for a lead singer, when you're coming into a new band, especially after Angela, like you have to assert yourself as the new lead of the band, being the new lead singer. It's not easy. I can only imagine. I mean, I've never been part of a band, but I know how it is when you start a new job and you're the new guy on the block and you have to assert yourself. So I can only understand how it would be for her to come from Canada to a band as big as Archenemy and have to assert herself. So in this album, I found that she really found her place. She has really come into her zone, and the whole band is as one. It doesn't feel like it's Archenemy plus her. It really feels like she's part of the band, and they're all one unit, and she's really put that together in the music that she did, and how her vocals are in this album. I really find this album very powerful. And one of the things that I really, really liked about this album is a lot of the lyrics have a lot of political connotation to it, and that I really like in my music. That was number 3. Number 2, my new absolute favorite band, Blood Red Hourglass, with the album Heal that came out in October. I did an album review for these guys. This album it may not be the most polished album of this list, but to me, it doesn't matter if it's polished or unpolished. To me, this list is about what I enjoyed. And this album is up there as the albums that I enjoy the most and the albums that I've heard the most from beginning to finish. I have this on my iPod, like almost on repeat. I listen to this album nonstop. Like there's almost no bad songs in this album. This band can do no wrong. It's my favorite band. With Winter Sun, they're up there as my favorite bands right now. But these guys, just listening to their music, it's just so energetic. It fills me with happiness and joy and energy. It's just this album, I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it. I mean, I cannot stress it. I wasn't sure if I was going to rank it as my favorite album of the year or my second favorite. It was really hard to put it. It had to be up there. To me, Heal from Blood Red Hourglass, to me, was either number 1 or number 2 as far as my favorite albums of 2017. So I decided to go with number 2, just because the sound is not as polished as some of the other works. But, you know, that's understandable. They're a fairly new band. They don't have the same kind of resources that bands like Archenemy or Winter Sun have. But what a great album. If you don't have it, go get it. Number 1, finally, number 1 for me, my favorite album of 2017, The Sin and the Sentence from Trivium. What a fucking album these guys put out in October of this year. This album is absolutely balls to the wall. Absolutely. I went to see them live with Archenemy and While She Sleeps when they were touring. What a great tour that was. But going into that concert, having purchased the album, having listened to the album ad nauseum, because this album, it was just blew my mind. Because coming from their previous work, Silence in the Snow, this album just miles ahead of that. Just miles ahead of that. One of their best albums, I would say, since Shogun. Best album since then. I don't think anybody would argue with me on that. Best album since that album came out. Trivium did an amazing job. The way they put the tracks together. The album is 60 minutes, 11 songs, about perfect. I would say maybe one less song, 55 minutes, 50 minutes would have been absolutely perfection. But I'll take it. 60 minutes, 11 songs, really good album. I mean, there's no bad songs in this album. Like there's good songs after good songs after good songs after good songs. It's just like it's one of those albums that almost, it feels like it shows up once every generation kind of thing. And it's absolutely mind-blowing how good this album is. And it's amazing, once again, to me, when I'm looking at some of these lists online of what the best albums of 2017 are, nobody's even giving Trivium a nod. Nobody. Like, how can not Trivium make the list for 2017? They're best album in my mind, for me, the album that I enjoyed the most in 2017. But how can people not consider this one of the best albums in general of 2017 is beyond me. I mean, honestly, I don't understand it. Last but not least, I just want to give a little nod to a band that's not a metal band, it's a hard rock band called Nothing More. To me, they had the best album of 2017 as far as hard rock is concerned. The stories we tell ourselves. I got to see these guys live. Johnny, the lead singer, Johnny Hawkins, this guy is the new Jim Morrison. So I just want to give these guys a shout out because I know a lot of you viewers watching this video don't listen to a lot of hard rock, but I highly, highly, highly recommend you guys giving Nothing More a check because the lead singer is an absolute genius. If you know The Doors and if you grow up listening to The Doors, you need to check out this guy. His vocals don't necessarily remind me of Jim Morrison, but his look, the lyrics, the way he sings, his presence on stage, all of it is Jim Morrison as far as I'm concerned. Jim Morrison has come down to earth and reincarnated in this guy. And Nothing More has been nominated for a couple of Grammys, I believe, and they totally deserve it because to me they were the best hard rock band of 2017 by far. Better than Stone Sour, better than Fozzy, better than any of those hard rock bands out there, Steel Panther, whatever. They have to, for me, the best hard rock album of 2017. So this is my list, my top 10 metal albums of 2017 with a little sparkle of the best, to me, once again, the best hard rock album of 2017. So now it's your turn. Let me know in the comment section below which ones are your favorite albums from 2017. Let us know. I'll be interested to see those comments so that we can get some discussion going. Maybe we can all learn from each other and check out some albums that have gone unnoticed to some of us. All right, guys? Stay tuned. Come back tomorrow. We'll have more videos. Take care, guys.